The Ship of the Lost Souls. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel of King Tutanchamun. Today, we will investigate the case of the ship Valbanera. Of the 488 souls who were on the ship, there is still no trace of them. The case has been filed away, so let's get started. On September 8, 1919, a powerful hurricane swept across Cuba. On the same day, the Spanish passenger steamship Valbanera was headed to the port of Havana with 488 passengers on board. 10 days later, the shipwreck of the Valbanera was discovered near Rebecca Shoal, Key West by Subchaser 203, and an announcement was made by Rear Admiral Decker of the Seventh Naval District in Key West. Strangely, there was no sign of bodies or that passengers and crew had attempted to abandon the ship. The scene of disaster suggested that the Valbanera had capsized and sank quickly with no survivors. However, as the days went by, evidence emerged that the S.N.D in Key West had received wireless messages from a ship claiming to be the Valbanera on September 12th, 4 days after the ship had gone missing. There were also reports of messages from the steamship to Havana around the same time. Another report claimed that many survivors had gone ashore at various locations along the east coast of Florida. So how can 488 people disappear without a trace? And what happened to the Valbanera? The Valbanera was originally built in Glasgow in 1905 for the Pinellas Line. It was 399 feet long and could carry nearly 1,000 passengers in 3 classes. The Valbanera was a 5,099-ton steamship built in 1906 by C. Cornell & Company shipyard in Glasgow, Scotland. The vessel was sold to the Pinellas Izquierdo Shipping Company of Cadiz, Spain. Pinellas Izquierdo, which in 1883 owned 6 large steamships, was one of Spain's oldest and most well-established shipping companies. The Valbanera was named after the founder of the company's place of birth. The company's route began at the port of Barcelona to Cadiz, then Las Palmas and Santa Cruz in the Canary Islands. From there, the steamships crossed the Atlantic to the ports of San Juan de Puerto Rico, Santiago de Cuba, La Havana, and across the Gulf of Mexico to New Orleans. By 1919, it had already crossed the Atlantic many times, taking Spaniards to the New World. When the Valbanera left the Canary Islands, there were 1,142 passengers and 88 crew on board. Most of the passengers were Spanish citizens emigrating from Malaga, Spain, and the Canaries to Puerto Rico, Cuba, and the United States. The ship also had a cargo of goods such as wine and olives. The ship's crew of 88 included Captain Ramon Martin, plus 3 junior officers. Other crew members included 4 doctors, a chaplain, 20 seamen, 8 cooks, and 2 maids. The Valbanera left Spain for New Orleans via Havana. The trip was uneventful until she approached Cuba. She arrived off Morro Castle at Havana Harbor on September 9, 1919, but a hurricane was sweeping across the island at this time, making the harbor entrance dangerous. Captain Martin contacted Captain A. Gardoqui of the steamship Infanta, which was already in the harbor, to ask if it was safe to enter. Captain A. Gardoqui replied that it was safe, but that Captain Martin should proceed with caution. Nevertheless, Martin decided that the Valbanera should remain at sea and ride out the storm. At 1:15 p.m. on September 12th, the Valbanera radioed Key West and asked if there were any messages for her. 10 minutes later, the Key West station radioed back, but there was no response from the ship. The hurricane was raging with considerable violence at that time, and it is most probable that the Valbanera sank within minutes after her call to Key West. A major search was started as soon as the hurricane passed, but it took another 10 days to locate the ship, which was found in an area of quicksand 40 miles south of Key West, in water just 30 feet deep. 2 empty lifeboats and the ship's mast marked the spot where the ship had sunk. The shipwreck of the Valbanera leaves many unanswered questions, such as why were no bodies ever found, what happened in the final hours of the Valbanera, and why was the ship's final resting place almost 200 kilometers north of Havana. The ship was found with all the doors closed, all the windows and portholes shut, and all the lifeboats still on their davits. The captain must have closed the ship down to weather the hurricane, but in turn this trapped the estimated 488 passengers and crew inside. The problem was, the ship was smaller than what they had believed she should be. To make a final determination, on September 20th, Rear Admiral Decker visited the scene. His announcement confirmed the ship's fate. Divers also found no structural damage. It was reported that a few days after the Valbanera sank, faint calls by wireless were being picked up from survivors of the Valbanera, asking for help. This was never verified, since no survivors or bodies were ever found. Even though an extensive search was made, most on board were believed to have been trapped inside the ship when she went down. The unanswered question on everyone's mind was what had happened to the 400 passengers and 88 crew members believed to have been on board. No bodies were ever recovered at the wreck site, and no reports ever came in of bodies or of survivors being found elsewhere. The day of Rear Admiral Decker's announcement, a dispatch was received in Madrid from Vienna, officially confirming the loss of the ship. The dispatch also included the manifest with the names of the remaining 300 passengers, plus the names and rank of the 74 crew members on board. The numbers of passengers fortunately was less than what had been originally suspected, since the shipwreck is located in an area known as quicksands, and appropriately the shipwreck has been gradually sinking ever since. Thereby, it was taking the evidence of the steamship and the possibility of resolving the mystery of the SS Valbanera. In an attempt to find out more information about the wreck and to verify the reports from 73 years earlier, the journalist Fernando J. Garcia persuaded the Archivo de los Indianos in Asturias to fund an expedition to the wreck. Eduardo Vera was chosen as the lead Spanish diver, as at that time he was one of the most respected divers in Gran Canaria and had a personal connection with the wreck, as his grandfather was one of the groups that had left the wreck in Santiago and made his way by land to Havana. The group arrived in Key West, Florida in February 1996 and carried out a series of dives on the Valbanera. 76 years after the sinking, the ship had submerged into the sands and canted to the starboard side. They were able to confirm that the majority of the doors and portholes were still closed, and spent about 8 hours over several dives exploring parts of the interior of the vessel. And that was everything they could confirm. Unfortunately, nothing new was discovered. There are many legends that emerged about the Valbanera. In the United States, the Valbanera is known as the Wreck of the Horse, since among Key West fishermen, it is said that the ship was not allowed to enter Havana because a large group of prostitutes was traveling on board. Valbanera is also known as the Titanic Canario. Currently, the remains of Valbanera are visible at low tides at the eastern end of the Florida Keys. Of the almost 500 dead who perished under the cyclone, only one head was found by some American fishermen. Leaving this, there is still no trace of the remaining passengers and crew. Even after a full century after the wreck, there is still no definite answer to what happened to the passengers and crew. And today, the researchers still cannot explain the disappearance of the 488 souls on board the Valbanera, and have finally just put the case into the files. And with that being said, we've come to the end of the video. Comment down below your thoughts. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more awesome videos like this one. This has been your King Tutanchamun. Thank you for watching.